Hello, hello, hello. This is Chris Ferdinandi from GoMakeThings.com. And today I want to show you how to detect a user's prefers reduce motion setting and changes to it with JavaScript. If you've never heard of prefers reduce motion before, it's a way for users to tell applications or browsers that they want to see less movement in the interface. Maybe they have some sort of motion disorder like vertigo, but they don't want as much movement because they find it upsetting or distracting or harmful. And a good example of this is with the scroll behavior smooth property in CSS. With this property on, if I were to click an anchor link, it's going to animate scrolling down to that link. You can see here, it's scrolling up and down the page. If I'm someone who finds that bothersome though, I can go into my operating system settings, turn on the reduce motion flag, and inside my code, I can detect that that is enabled and stop the animation from happening. So here in my CSS, you do that with a media query. If prefers reduce motion is set to reduce, I can change scroll behavior from smooth back to auto. And now when I click those anchor links, they immediately jump. There's no animation, so my preferences have been honored. This is really easy with CSS. You've got your media query, and anytime the user changes their setting, this automatically detects it and does stuff, but it's a little bit harder with JavaScript. And today I'm going to show you how you actually make that happen. Today's video is brought to you by this week's sponsor, ConfigCat. ConfigCat is a cross-platform launch darkly alternative that's easy to learn and quick to set up. With ConfigCat, you can manage feature flags without redeploying your code. I'll be talking about them a bit more later, but you can learn more yourself at configcat.com/gomakethings.com. Sign up for their forever free plan or get 25% off any paid plan with the code GO25. I'm going to drop a link to them down in the description as well if you want to go check them out. So let's take a look at a piece of JavaScript that has some animation and how we might use prefers reduce motion to change it. So here I have a marquee and it's got some hidden elements and then one that is visible. And I am using set interval to animate these elements. So every 3,000 milliseconds or every 3 seconds, I'm going to get the currently visible item. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to get its next sibling and I'm going to show it. And then I'm just going to repeat that over and over again. So if we jump back over to the browser and reload, we've got the monkey, and then 3 seconds later, the hand, and then 3 seconds after that, the party, and so on. And it keeps going. But this does not honor reduce motion. So if I turn this on, it's going to continue to animate at that same speed. Now, with something like this, you probably want it to continue animating, but you might want to slow it down or stop it entirely and surface some way for the user to manually control that movement instead of having it happen automatically. Now, in JavaScript, you can't just automatically respond to it. You need to programmatically tell it to. You do that with the match media method. It accepts any argument that you would pass into a media query. So just like how in our media query we passed in prefers reduce motion, we're going to pass that in here. And then it returns back this object, this match media object. One of the properties on it is matches. That's going to be a Boolean. If it has a value of true, it means that our query is matched. If it has a value of false, it means it did not. So if we jump back over to the browser, I'm going to reload this for a second. Currently prefers less motion is set to false. Now, what happens if I change it? I think a lot of apps I've seen, they will run the initial detection, but they don't pay attention to what happens if the user changes their settings. So we can actually use the add event listener method on that match media object to detect changes using the change event. Anytime this changes, we're going to log the new state, right? So let's say, what about now, right? Just so we can differentiate between the two. And if we jump back over here, I'm going to reload. So currently prefers false, but if I toggle reduce motion on, now it's true. If I toggle it again, now it's false. So we can use that in our scripts to change our behavior. So let's take another look at our marquee. And what we're going to do is we're going to we're going to watch for prefers reduced motion, and we're going to have a dynamically set speed. So if prefers reduced motion matches is true, we'll use, let's say 10,000 milliseconds. So here, let's do it like this so it's a little bit easier to read. So 10,000 seconds, 10 seconds, 10,000 milliseconds. Otherwise, we'll use 3. So we're going to slow it down a little bit. And we'll do the same thing over here. Just if you're aware, you can't use commas in numbers in JavaScript, but if you put an underscore where you would put a comma, the browser will coerce it into a regular number and it'll continue to work. So it can just make big numbers a little bit easier to read and wrap your head around. I'm also going to set a timer variable, and I'm going to assign my set interval to it. That gives us an identification that we can use to clear that interval. So anytime our matched media object changes, we'll clear our timer, we'll update the speed, and then we'll restart it. So we'll make it start animating again with the user's new preferences in mind. So if we jump over to the browser and we reload this, we've got our monkey, and I have broken something. Oh yeah, this is a bad selector. That's right. So we're gonna go like that. We'll try that again. Okay, so every 3 seconds we are animating. If I were to turn on reduce motion, we're gonna see this immediately slow way down. So now this will jump somewhere around now 10 seconds. There we go. So you can see now I've dramatically reduced the animation by respecting user preferences. And if I were to toggle this again, so we want regular animation, this is going to start moving a lot faster. So now we're back to every 3 seconds. Now, one last thing here, I tend to see this sort of thing a lot more in React, where the entire interface is driven with JavaScript. And so I did just want to show you really quickly, I have created a custom React hook for detecting prefers reduced motion that will automatically update whenever that changes for you. If you're someone who uses React and you want to see how this works, stick around. If not, you can jump to the end. I've got some timestamps down in the description. So I'm importing useEffect and useState, and I've got my custom hook set up here. So I'm setting a default state of false, although really I should actually be setting it to prefers. Oh no, this is going to happen in useEffect, so that's fine. So I'm setting a default value of false. I've got my matches value and set matches, which we'll use to actually set that. useEffect is going to run every time a render happens. So the very first time this renders, this will run. We are going to get the prefers reduced motion object, and we are going to set matches to whatever the value of matches on it is. And then we're also going to add an event listener to update our matches. So whenever the user changes their setting, we will set matches to whatever that new value is. I'm also returning out a function to clean up that event listener so that if the component this is in gets removed, we're not continuing to watch it. And then I don't want the user to be able to set, or the developer to be able to set matches. They just need the value. So we'll return this out. And because this is using useState, anytime this changes, it will trigger a render update in the component that's using it, and they can update their behavior. So you can use this property, this returned matches value, to do different things inside your component. So I'll make sure I drop a link to the source code for all of this down in the description. Today's video was brought to you by ConfigCat, the feature flag service that helps you release features faster and with less risk. ConfigCat makes it super easy to manage feature flags in your code. With open source SDKs for over 19 platforms, including JavaScript, Python, Ruby, Java, and even Rust, you can toggle features on or off remotely without redeploying your code. Use feature flags for gradual rollouts, A/B testing, canary releases, or instant rollbacks, all from a friendly visual dashboard. Try ConfigCat's Forever Free plan or get 25% off any paid plan with the code GO25. You can learn more at configcat.com/go-make-things and start shipping smarter today. And I'll make sure there's a link for that down in the description for you. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, share it with a friend. If you have any questions, please ask them down in the comments. If you have anything you'd like to see in a future video, ask that down in the comments as well. And I will see you next week. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers.